Okay, first a little bit about last night. I think the biggest thing that is pretty evident is we had challenged them to be relentless in their effort, physical, both mentally and physically and mentally tough, and to tackle it all. And I think we came out of the game, the first game, the missed tackles were minimal, and usually when there was a missed tackle, it was not before long before two or three others were making up for it. We didn't have very many at all for the first game. We were relatively pleased with that. I think the effort is probably the thing that came out the most. Is they really did what we asked them to do. They played very, very hard. As far as where it started and ended, it started and ended up front. Those guys did a really nice job of changing the line of scrimmage and creating negative plays. I'm not sure what the number was exactly. I'd be wrong if I told you. I got it in my head somewhere. It was in the neighborhood of, I think there were 14 total negative plays created. We put pressure on the quarterback, and I think there was the total count now is 6 sacks. Is that right? So we affected the quarterback in a big way, and it was a good start. Now we've got a big challenge this week, and we've got the reigning national champion at their place. They're a very, very talented football team, very good up front in the offensive line. They've got a stable of running backs. The receivers are just keep feeding the system with the receivers. And the quarterback is very, very talented. When you watch the game yesterday on video, I'm not saying, obviously, their old quarterback was the first round draft pick, one of the best to play in modern time. But their quarterback is a very, very good football player and has a bright future in this game. So with that question.
So their current quarterback, does he remind you of Deshaun Watson, the same kind of player?
He is. He's a physically looking. He's a tall, slender, powerful build guy. He throws a very good ball and runs really well.
How much of a challenge is it for your secondary to go from a game like this opener, where obviously they're not throwing the ball as much, to Clemson, where obviously they could do a lot more in the passing game?
Yeah. Well, I think we're just coming out of fall camp, so we were going against our offense every day of last week's practice because we normally do that. We have certain periods where we go against scout team, and we have certain periods where we go against our offense. So it's not like we put it all on the shelf and became, totally rusty in everything we did in fall camp. We didn't do that. And so we've had time on task with that against our offense, so it's not that big an issue, although there were a large number of reps taken playing the triple option.
Coach, how did Nick Coe do in his first college game?
And Nick played very well. Nick, he affected the game. He changed the line of scrimmage. Was a passer. On one play, he took the dive quarterback and pitch, and tackled him for a 4-yard loss. So he did pretty well.
Jeff Holland's a guy we've heard a lot about. Was that the most aggressive you've seen Jeff in the last couple of years?
Well, we've seen Jeff just kind of get better each week that we've been here. He loves to practice. He loves to compete. And so he's a consummate football player in that regard. And that he's we always tell him, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. You never stay the same. And he works every day to get better. And so I think that's what you saw.
Was that the best performance you've seen from Arnold Davidson?
Well, I think in terms of the run game, he had a very good game, and then there were minimal passes, and of course he affected the quarterback in that, both from outside and inside. I wouldn't say it was the best game I've seen him have, but it was a very good game.
Considering the injuries and everything he's had, you're pretty impressed I mean, he said he didn't know for sure he was gonna play until maybe that day.
Well, I don't want to get into medically, he was
Right.
practicing before that day.
Right.
So, you know, that's the only thing I can judge on. If he's out there practicing, I assume they're going to play. And so, you know, I think he got plenty of work. He wouldn't play without, particularly in a game like that where it's so different without work. So he had time on pass.
Kevin, I guess it really would apply to both things. When you play an opener against a team that you got better players than they do, and then you turn around and play a game like this one where the speed and the intensity and everything goes up, is there an adjustment period in the game?
Well, I don't really, y'all have heard me say this before, hey, I don't make a schedule. I don't care where we play, who we play, what time we play, let's just get ready to play. Last year was flipped over, it was the other way. So you could say, well, is it harder to, play a game where you're physically against we didn't know at the time, the team was gonna be a national champion, and, you beat up the physicality of the game and the number of snaps and all that, doesn't that wear you down for the next game? So I long time ago, several years back, I just quit worrying about that, and it's the next game and all that stuff, the peripheral stuff. It only has an effect on it if you let it have an effect on it. We're not gonna let it have an effect on it.
Kevin, you talk about your freshman defensive backs who got to play some opening night.
Yeah.
And building some depth back there in the secondary too.
Yeah, we played a lot of guys back there. We did, and we moved them around. Denson played, Dean played for the first time, I think, in 3 years. So he's really a new guy. Was excited, had a big smile on his face, and played well. And then, of course, we had Jordan Peters play out there, and Leonard played. Daniel Thomas was back and played well. So we had a lot of meaningful snaps by a lot of those guys. Good job.
Kevin, for Trey Williams to also have the production he had, when the line was doing as much as it was to get into the backfield, for him to have 10 tackles and tackles for loss and be as productive from that position.
Yeah.
Just
And really, the middle linebacker in a triple option the tackles number should be up there. When you get worried is when you start seeing the safeties have a large number of tackles, and it's a little different. But he did play very, very well. He's a very instinctive player. He's a smart player. He was productive in doing his job, but he also made some plays that was, extra effort plays after he had cleared his responsibility, and then, of course, had the 2 sacks.
I think this Clemson offensive line's third in the nation in experience returning. You obviously went up against them last year. Is that really showing up on film now? They're just a cohesive.
Yeah, they're very well coached. They're a good group of guys. They got good players across the board. They really do. The thing about it is where we work. That'll be almost about every week for the rest of the year. That's just the nature of the business at the level we play at.
Can you talk about Derek Brown moving inside the tackle, how he did out there Saturday night?
Yeah, he did. Derek did. He's a big force. He's still young. He's still a young man, but he's a big, powerful guy, and was productive. I think he played at a fast rate too. Played with really good energy. Made some plays, extra effort plays out of the core where he ran things down. There was a couple of plays, for example, that they extended the play, got it out on the edge, and we had it hemmed up, and the guy kind of sat down and started to cut back, and Derek made the play. I don't know what it would be like to be running on the edge and think, okay, I'm going to cut back in the alley here and turn around, and there's a 330-pound Mack truck running right at you. It's probably a little bit of a shock.
Kevin, the defense really set the tone even last season early on for several games. I know this is only one game, it's a small sample, but with the end of last season being a bit of a disappointment with the way the second halves were in the Iron Bowl and in the Sugar Bowl, what is it about the preparation for this defense that last year, right out of the box, you guys set the tone early on, and the offense is struggling this year? This game was an all-time performance with all the preparation you had to put in right out of the gate to hold somebody to 78 yards, the preparation that went into it. What is it about the mentality that you and your staff bring to this defense to get that result?
The credit goes to the players because they play the game, and they respond to what we ask them to do. I think the thing that they bought into is the process of you go to work every day and you put time and task on the things that matter. And that's great effort, great tackling, understanding the concepts, communication, those kind of things, the technique things, and you don't get tired of doing the right things the right way. And they bought into that through good leadership. I think the thing that probably takes it to another level is they bought into the fact of the effort part of it, and that we're going to play at a high rate with great effort, and we're just not going to tolerate what we call lows. We're not going to tolerate it, and the leadership has bought into it. I think they've really bought into the process of next play. In practice, it's the next play. Play the next play at a higher level than you played the one before. Better technique, better focus, and improve. And then at the end of the day, assess it and be better the next day. You know, we just keep doing things the same way and keep preaching the same thing. And they bought into it. Our leadership has bought into it. And so I think that's where it comes from. They're not affected by the things outside. And when I say outside, I mean outside of the defensive meeting room, outside of the defensive practice field. They're really conscientious about focusing on what's in front of them at that moment and not be distracted by things that they have no control over. And that's part of the process of teaching them, because there's going to be adversity in games. There's going to be adversities in every facet of the game. And really, you don't have control of that. The only thing you have control of is your job, your technique, your responsibility on that play, and then line up and do it again. And so, you know, each play has a life of its own. When it's over, it's dead. We'll assess that, review it later. Don't let it affect you mostly. Don't let it affect your focus. Just be ready to play the next play better than the play you played before. And it really probably comes to leadership more than anything else. And it's become a habit. It's become who they are. They expect it from each other. They're hard on each other about it. When somebody's dragging around and not carrying that process to the max, they're pretty demanding of each other out there. We as coaches have got it, fortunately, knock on wood, we don't have to say too much to them about that on the practice field. Now, we're in the meeting room, we're constantly reminded, but on the practice field, they self-coach a lot.
You obviously have coached at Clemson. What kind of environment do you think your defense, and to that matter, the team, will be walking into Saturday night?
A typical SEC environment. Baton Rouge, Tuscaloosa, Fayetteville. You know, it's a hard place to play. Very energetic, loud crowd, a lot of people.
Again, they have to replace a lot of skill position guys from last year, not just Deshaun, but a receiver, at running back. But Deion Kane was a receiver they had before, and I'm not going to knock Kent State's secondary too much, but I think you guys will be a little bit more physical than what he faced yesterday. What have you seen from what that young man can do?
Well, I think he's kind of taken the role of Mike Williams last year, and you know, he's a physical, powerful guy that can run fast. And so, you know, he's a very, very good football player.
Anything else?
Kevin, after all these years, do you have a different feeling when it's big game week like this?
No, and don't allow the players to. You do not understand how much we hit on this night. Doesn't matter who we play, what time we play, or where we play. It's about us. It's about us. It has nothing to do with where we play, what time we play, who the schedule. You get into that, you're gonna ride a roller coaster. So we don't allow it, and we hammer it home.
How much of your players help with that, just in the locker room? I mean, guys you can count on.
So I don't know that answer to that, but
Your leadership, like
our
Trey.
leadership is, I mean, they hear it enough, and they, you know, you guys are around our players. They have bought into everything we're asking them to do, and there's no difference in that.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
That's it.
Thanks, guys.